Guess what, man?
What's going on?
Today's podcast, the Channel 10 podcast that you're listening to right now, is brought to you by Audible.com, where you can get a free audio book download and a 30-day free trial. If you go to audibletrial.com/channel10, that's Audible, AUDIBLE, trial, TRIAL.com/the word channel 10, and you go there. You have over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, your MP3 player, however you listen to music, however you listen to this podcast. You can listen to books.
That's what's up.
That is what's up, especially if you don't know how to read.
Exactly.
Feeling this here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. What up, son? You gotta just do it, yo.
CNN.
Yo, what up, man? It's a different channel, son. What up, on, man? What up? Watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
What up? All good, baby, in every hood, son. What up, yo? CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men.
This call is now being recorded.
So, now that we got that out of the way, how you been, man?
I've been alright, you know. Just living an Oklahoman life, I guess. Whatever that means.
Man, I guess it's very different from a Baltimore life.
Yeah, you know, it's I mean, it was slow pace, really slow to begin with, pace wise, and since it's summer, you know, everyone's gone, it's really slow.
Man, you know, it's heating up here right now. You know, they say if our population was the size of Chicago's, if you extrapolate our murder rate, we would be at like 192 per month. And Chicago has 500 in a year.
Damn, well, you know, I always tell my mother that, I told her that when the murder rate got kind of crazy after the riots calmed down, and I told her that it's kind of, I mean, if you think about it, it's really just making up for lost time. I know it's a very cynical way to think of it, but I mean, it's a certain pattern that has to be followed in Baltimore.
Yeah, they're gonna follow it to the end, man.
Yeah, you know, the Druids put that curse, you know.
The curse of the Druids, Druid Hill Park.
Yeah.
It's going down, man. I guess with it being slow out there, have you experienced any racism recently?
No, you know, outside of like that whole Shank ordeal, no, you know, just the usual, just getting some odd looks. That's pretty much it, just some odd looks when I go to the market. That's it.
It's regular stuff.
Yeah, it's regular stuff. What about you?
I guess to make a long story short, I got confused for another black person because, you know, we all look the same.
Right.
Oh, I mean, me and this other black person, we do both have a bald head. We do both have, you know, fairly pronounced beards. But this other black dude, he's darker than me. He has dye in his beard. And he has nasty razor bumps on the back of his head because he doesn't use bevel. So how could you get us confused?
I mean, do y'all sound alike?
No, we are not alike in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
I mean, he has blonde dye in his beard.
Where is this like this blonde dye type shit when it comes to beard, or just dyeing your beard? Period. Where is this coming from?
I guess creativity, maybe. I mean, I think a lot of it, you know, some of it might be like the flamboyantness of, you know, homosexual community members sometimes might dye their beards. But, you know, the only discoloration in my beard is due to aging, because I got a couple grays in there. Some of that knowledge and wisdom and understanding and overstanding and understanding, you feel me?
Right.
But yeah, today, man, I just wanted to talk about, you know, and we were talking about this off air. I guess just the life being an artist, you know, like it's just something I've really been thinking and reflecting on recently, and you know, just watching you go through your process of, you know, getting your project together and everything, it just made me think about just the whole scope of everything, from the trials and tribulations to, you know, just how amazing it is when you just sit back and think, like, I'm creating something from a blank canvas, or like a blank whatever it is that you're using. Like, you're making something out of nothing with your mind. And people, like, most people don't do that. And then if they do that, they don't put it out there and see what happens with it, you know? And like, you know, I was just thinking about how, like, you know, from, you know, going through the day-to-day life of school and work, and, you know, how much, you know, that gets, you know, I would assume the majority of people down a lot of times, just to be able to come back and, you know, make something. And sometimes it's like you're living a double life, because it's almost like you're a superhero, because you can just make something and put it out there however you put it out there. And, you know, other people might see it and they are kind of in awe, like, damn, like, how did you do that? And then, you know, I was thinking about some of the experiences that we've had just based on, you know, creating art, or being involved with people creating art, and just, you know, just the wealth of experiences and times that we've had just based off of that, you know, you don't get just being quote unquote regular and just, you know, living your day to day, like, just all the things that have happened that, you know, just like last week when we were talking about like our hip hop stories or whatever, and like how that shit doesn't happen for most people.
You know, I will say that when it comes to, I guess, living this type of double life, you're always being creative every day when it comes to trying to figure out how you should act, you know, when it comes to, I don't know, some type of weird social situation or a Curb Your Enthusiasm moment, how you should react to it, and you gotta do it really fast, or, you know, I guess being where I'm at right now, and, you know, having to write papers, you know, every 5 minutes, or just like these long projects that take 3 to 4 months to finally finish. And, you know, like, I was thinking about it, you know, like, I think I wrote a total of 70 pages this past semester.
Sheesh. And
just thinking, you know, like every day, you know, like the process of just writing, and how much that takes out of you, you know, when you're trying to, I guess, switch all that stuff over and put that same type of energy into a music project. especially when it's a project where you're doing the production and the writing, and then you got to record yourself, which I think takes the same amount of energy, I would say, if not a bit more, because at least with the papers you do have like a certain a certain criteria, a certain type of I guess a rubric, for lack of a better word, that you have to follow.
Yeah, it's like sometimes when it comes to this, when you're making your music, it's kind of just like you on your own. You don't have, you might have, inspiration and stuff like that, but you don't have somebody over you telling you what to do and how to do it. And it becomes all on you at that point. Like, when you're making something, and I guess that type of feeling, like how you said your rubric actually comes after you create it and present it to people, and then you get the response. And, I guess it's like, especially starting off, there's the anxiety that comes with that. And then I guess, how you were saying, doing the papers and everything, it can take a lot out of you, and it's the same amount of energy. Like, just the energy of putting something out there that's all you, and then having to deal with the response to it. It can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah, it can. Especially I guess if you're like a really slow person when it comes to like the whole process of creating one song, like how I am. Like with my project right now, like it took for the entire concept for me to follow. So I guess in a way I did kind of put together a rubric for myself to kind of follow. That alone took me about a good year and some change to like even think of like a full concept, and it's still kind of changing and I guess molding into something that I really wanted to be.
Are you satisfied with it?
You mean with the project overall, or just like the concept that I'm following?
I would say the project overall, but how you envisioned it to be.
Yeah, with the project overall, yeah, so far I'm pretty satisfied with it. I just gotta get some better mixing, but yeah, I would say so. I'm kind of like, I think right now I'm kind of second guessing myself when it comes like to the earlier material. And not that it's not, I guess, not the same quality, but I kind of feel as though I was in a different place at that time. But these are how different albums, that's how they get made sometimes. Like how RZA, his last, his Diddy Snacks album, how he had one part of it sober and another part of it high. So I was kind of thinking about that when it came to me and second guessing myself. But so far, yeah, I think I'm pretty satisfied with it.
That's what's up. And one thing to always remember is that, even though you may have been in a different place when you record different songs, when people listen to it, they're in the same place. So they can tell, they might be able to tell that you're in a different place, but at the same time, they experience it in a whole, pretty much at one time, whereas you experience it as a whole throughout, part of a lifetime. So it's like, it's kind of hard to step back and see it as somebody else sees it. You just kind of have to finish it and put it out there for people to kind of take it in and, I guess, interpret it how they interpret it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that like a while ago. And I don't know, I feel like if I don't finish this, I guess by the summer, then I'll probably start feeling like a burden, because this has been going on for close to 3 years now. So I'm kind of just ready to see it finish, and I think that, you know, it's the same thing when it comes to like doing like a big 30-page paper. You know, at the end of the semester, you know, you struggle through it, but somehow, somewhere you put it together, you know, in 3 months, and you feel pretty happy with, you know, the final product.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like from the outside looking in, it seems like you're having fun with it though.
Yeah, you know, I must say that, just being able to, although I guess it's kind of bittersweet, just being able to have the time right now to really sit around, and, you know, it's my choice whether or not, if I want to like sit around and just do music all day.
Mm-hmm.
It, you know, I think compared to maybe like the past, you know, 2-3 weeks to a month, well, the past month, I think I'm a bit happier than what I was, I think. Just being able to sit around and do this, and, you know, see what's coming out of everything that I'm doing. Like, you know, yesterday I was in the house all day just working on what I sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I felt pretty happy about that.
Yeah, and then when you, like, even when it comes down to, like, how you did the artwork and everything, and then you were able to get it printed out, and then you have a physical copy of it, like something that came out of your mind and now it's in your hands, you know, like, I know that must have been a dope moment.
I mean, yeah, especially, you know, since I've been a part of so many other projects that weren't my own, and I didn't have, like, you know, I really didn't have much say in what went on with them. I mean, what went on them. And, you know, now, just really having something that I finally did, and as you know, I've been wanting to do a project of my own, but you know, I guess in this fashion for, you know, how old am I now? Maybe, 7 years. So yeah, so it took a really long time to get to this point. So yeah, it was kind of nice, even though, I mean, it's something really simple. You just get a fucking jewel case and you just throw something in there. But yeah, I can. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's like you can finally, like, see it coming to completion.
Yeah.
Like you birthed it out of your mind, and here it is, like you holding like a newborn baby.
Yeah, and you know, but I think you know, sending this stuff to, like, you know, labels is a whole nother ball game though. So far I've sent it to I think 2 labels, and I don't know what it is. Like, whenever I'm about to send like hit send, or whether it's digitally or physically, just, you know, handing over the package, I get kind of, you know, like a little anxious inside.
Now, what are you anxious about?
You know, I think I'm anxious. I think, you know, I try to envision, like, the package or I guess the email being sent to the person, and then, like, when they see it, what do they do? Do they, like, say they'll go back to it later? Do they just ignore it altogether? Which they probably do 9 times out of 10. Or, you know, like what do they do with it? And so I think I guess my anxiety when it comes to sending these things off, I think it really just comes from me overthinking the situation and trying to, I guess, unconsciously control what happens in a way.
Yeah, I think the more you do it and the more you get used to it, that anxiety kind of goes away. Because, like, you know, when I used to send out songs all the time, at first it was an anxious thing, but as it started to happen, and then I started to get, you know, good response, and different, you know, outlets started, you know, posting up my music, and things started to come from it. It's like it becomes kind of a game after a while, and you, like, kind of stop thinking about it in terms of what is this person going to do, but it's like, you know, what is going to happen. What little things can I tweak to make different things happen? And, you know, I guess just learning about the process of actually putting music out and making something happen from it, kind of becomes part of, you know, the art itself. Like, you know, you make the beat, you write the lyrics, you record it a certain way, you mix it a certain way, you even name the file a certain way, you craft the email particularly a certain way just to send it out to like maybe a blog or something like that in my case. And, you know, they may choose to pick it up, they may not. Then if they pick it up, if it gets any comments or anything like that, you kind of see what all those certain ways, the culmination of it, what it ends in. And then that gives you, you know, things to think about for the next time. And it becomes less of an anxious thing. It's more of a, okay, I know now, like, what's going to happen, what the probabilities of different things are based on different things that I've already done, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like a science to it.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, I will say that when I did send things out to certain blogs a while ago, it was I was pretty anxious, but I wasn't as anxious as I was over time. You know, like, you know, especially when after a while there was like, you know, certain blogs that I just had, I guess, a relationship with, and they just picked it up whenever they saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's something about, I guess, like, it's something about demo because, you know, these people, just like blogs are, you know, they're really busy, and I guess it's really like a different realm, you know, because I guess there's a difference between someone like putting your music up just on their website, you know, between someone doing that and then someone like actually trying to put money behind this project that you're trying to sell to them.
Right, like making a commercial project or product.
Yeah, so that's I think that's like where a lot of my anxiety is coming from.
I guess to not be as vague or whatever, I guess tell the people a little bit about, you know, what you're doing.
All right. So I've been working on this album for about going on maybe 3 years now. And my thing is, I was going to go, I guess, like a total independent route and just do it myself when it comes to promotion and, you know, just really playing for lack of a better term, the internet game, just being on Twitter and so on and so forth. But me, you know, since I'm in school and I'm doing other things, I don't really have the time to really invest in doing that, nor do I want to do it since I'm not really into doing that type of stuff. So I figured that the best thing for me to do is to go the indie route. So go to an indie label to see if they will support me in my project. And in a perfect world, they do everything, you know, I guess during the semester they do the promo for it and whatever else they got to do. And then in the summertime when I have time off in between school, that's when I tour, do, you know, other things that the label wants me to do. So I think it's a win-win situation that I won't bother them every 5 minutes, and in a way they kind of tell me what to do, just as long as I have, you know, total creative control over the music.
Yeah, but then when it comes to, like, you know, promotion and stuff, they just kind of direct it and direct you on what to do, and then you just do it.
Right, pretty much.
Okay. So I mean, that sounds like a, you know, like a pretty good ambitious plan, especially, you know, for somebody who doesn't have a lot of time.
I mean, yeah. Well, I think the thing is, though, if I did have more time, I don't know. Actually, I'll probably still do the same thing because I'm not one to be on, you know, social media all the time.
Yeah. And it's definitely like a balance. Like, first you have to balance your life, you have to balance actually creating the music, and then, you know, the time that you have to create music, you have to balance the time of, you know, actually making music, and then, you know, promoting the music and trying to get it out there. And it's like, you know, you can get lost in one or the other, and at the end of the day, the whole project can suffer. You know, when it's just you and you don't have that team or support. So, you know, hopefully you can get down one of these labels and they can put that, you know, put that extra oomph behind it, and, you know, you can go out and tour and all that. That would be so dope.
I mean, yeah, and that was the issue, because, you know, I thought about, you know, everything that I've been doing for like the past 4 or 5 years, and, you know, I realized after a while, you know, like the whole music thing, the whole music thing was suffering. When it came to, you know, school and everything else, but at the same time, I did think that, you know, I was putting out, you know, like I was producing albums, you know, 2 albums, you know, each year for about 4 years. So I mean, that's quite a lot. And then I took the break and everything like that, and I was trying to find like the perfect way to try to really have time for both things. And then I tried at one point, you know, just to do both at the same time, and that just wasn't working. My grades went down, you know, in undergrad like crazy, and I just figured I'd just put it on the side until I really figured out how was like the best way for me to approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, in terms of, you know, what you were doing before with producing the albums, I mean, you know, you got to think, you've done some amazing shit to where, you know, you got your name in the paper. And that's more than what most people can say. So it's like going through all of that, in the process of all of that, did you, like, learn anything that you can put into what you're doing now?
That's a good question. I would say no, other than just making sure that you keep relationships with certain people. And I think, you know, one of the reasons why that happened was because of the relationship that we had with Al Shipley, the journalist, freelance writer for many publications, including the Baltimore City paper. You know, but I've tried to like figure out if I've learned anything else from that experience, and I kind of didn't, because in a way I didn't do much. I just kind of showed up and did the music, and that was pretty much it. And my brother pretty much handled everything else. I would shrink wrap, and I would shrink wrap, and, you know, I would be there when we went to various stores, and, you know, like to put the project in, but we really didn't do any type of digital stuff. Actually, everything was really analog.
Yeah. Now, like in terms of making the music, and like, I guess everything that goes into making a project on that level, did you learn anything, do you think?
That's a good question. Well, I will say, yeah. I think from there, you know, I slowly but surely got better. And I think through like doing that, it kind of like, it was an avenue for me to find my own sound, when it, like, production wise. Now, you know, and I guess in between, you know, the projects that I did do, I did certain songs, like little small projects that I kind of just did, and it wasn't exactly anything serious. And then through going back and listening to like all that old stuff between production and like other songs that I've actually done with vocals on them, I've kind of found my own voice in a way, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. Now, when it comes to, because, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, balancing the, I guess the quote-unquote real life and the, you know, ideal music life dream that people have. If you got the opportunity for, you know, something big, like some type of life-changing thing to where you could just do the music, and, you know, everything that you worked on and worked towards academically, if you didn't have to do that anymore, what would you do?
I guess in the perfect world, I would try to do both because, thinking about it, I've invested so much time in this academic stuff that, I guess in a way it wouldn't exactly be putting it down the drain, but I think in a way just dropping everything to do the music, it would be kind of hard for me to do just based on the time and effort that I put into it. But I put time and effort into, music too, staying up 2 days, for 2 days straight in the studio, hopped off of, some type of shit or whatever. So I don't know, it would be really hard for me to do. I think that if I did, it would have to be some guaranteed money to the point that I'd be good for a while if I live within my means.
Yeah.
Because I guess the academic thing I can always go back to.
Yeah, that's true. Do you ever feel like there's a time limit on what you have to do musically?
No. No, because it was always a hobby for me anyway. At one point I never really thought about really making money off of it, but I just gotten to the point that, a lot of the shit that I've been doing is based on certain things I don't really want to do. And I think music is one of the best avenues to try to get away from that, although I do know that sometimes there's no way to escape it, but I think music would give me more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I guess one of the biggest fears is, putting your all into something that you think is going to be so great, and then you realize that you end up in the same situation where you're kind of like a slave to it, and you don't want to do half of the shit that's involved in it, because it can definitely be a drain.
Yeah, and that's what I don't. And it's funny, because I was one of the subjects for that article. Way back when the Al Shipley did about various Baltimore artists, and and what they're doing it for. And I told him that I just had, I did have, at least at that time, I had other ambitions that that I was trying to accomplish, and I pretty much did it already. I've exceeded what I thought I would ever do in academia at this point. So, and I think that that's the issue with me right now. There's really only one other thing that I want to do, and after that, I'm done. I've done everything I want to do in academia, and going deeper into it and seeing how it is, I'm not interested. At least in the music business, I'm doing, I'm not exactly tied down to someone else's creative process, or at least I don't intend to be.
Now, how does it feel being the subject of an article, or being one of the subjects of an article?
Being the subject of an article that was specifically about artists not making it.
When you put it that way, but how you said it's kind of a hobby for you, and you did have other ambitions, so I guess it's, what the definition of making it is. But, either way, you garnered enough attention, I guess, and enough interest and intrigue, based off of what you do, that somebody wants to get your input into something and your insight into it because they're just curious about, the way that you think. I don't know, to me, that's something.
Yeah, it's flattering. It is, but, and the thing was, I guess a lot of the artists that he did use for that article, they were some of his favorite artists anyway.
Yeah.
So it was flattering, but then some of the artists that were on there, these were people who, some of them, they didn't really have anything else. They wanted to do the music. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought much about that article in a long time.
Because And I guess, you know, I don't know, sometimes, you know, you got, like I've had moments with people sometimes where, you know, you sit back and you just reflect on things and you think about how sometimes, you know, you're spoiled. You know, like some of the experiences that we've had, you know, people are killed for something like that. And, you know, like how you were saying, you hadn't really thought about that article or whatever, but that was probably the highlight of, you know, one of the highlights of somebody's life who was written about in there, you know.
Well, see, but that's true, and that's the thing. Like, that's where I try to have this balance to not have something like that really control, you know, control my emotions, because, you know, like, I was in the midst of doing all these other like academic things. He hit me up. He said, "Hey, I wanted to put you in this article." I'm like, "Cool." He asked me some questions. We talked a little bit, and that was it. And I was off doing other things, and I forgot about that I even did it until he sent me a link to that article. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's flattering. You know, I mean, it was flattering. The article was flattering, and you know, like when I'm traveling in, you know, the world of the Baltimore underground scene. And, you know, certain people will pop up out of nowhere who I haven't really talked to much like that, and they'll just ask me, like, what am I doing?
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, however, you know, big or small, you still, you know, made a mark and an impact on people and, you know, in the community. And, you know, I mean, there's something to be said for all of that. And, like, I don't know, like, sometimes, you know, just me, like when I go to work and, you know, it's like people see you one type of way and they don't know that you have all this other shit going on. So, like, maybe you reveal it to somebody else and it's like, damn, like, you do all of that. And it's like, I don't know, it's like sometimes you never know, I feel like, who kind of sees you, you know, as a superhero or whatever. Because it's like, you know, you have certain abilities to kind of do things and put it out there and, I guess not be stuck, you know, whether it's mentally or physically, not be stuck in, you know, in your reality that you're in now. Because, like, you know, listening to your music, that's like a whole nother world. And it's like, it's a world that you created, you know, just from your mind. And, you know, that's amazing to some people, especially like when you get those people that, you know, sometimes, you know, before they even hear anything or see anything or know anything about you, but the moment that you say that you're involved in music in some type of way, they automatically have this kind of, they automatically kind of look down at you and they kind of sneer at you or whatever. And then when you actually show them or something like that, it's like, oh man, like how did you do this? Like how you were telling me earlier about, you know, a particular situation recently. And, you know, I don't know, sometimes it's like, you know, you really have to sit back and reflect and realize that, you know, not everybody gets to do that. Like, and, you know, even when you're talking about working on those projects, you know, with your brother and everything, and then, you know, just the stuff, you know, the stuff that you know, come along with me on, like when we went to Philly those times and Virginia and all that other type of stuff, and that's just like, you know, just based off of the strength of, you know, what we're doing in the bedroom. Pause. Yes. But like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's yeah, you know what? Like, going back to what you said about being spoiled. Like when I was back home for winter break, and my brother taught me into going to some event, some Baltimore hip hop event downtown, and I really didn't want to go, but I decided to go. And we had to wait in line, and I was pretty annoyed by that, because I think that was the first time I've ever had to wait in line for anything. When it came to the Baltimore Underground, and even like I think even like a concert. I mean, the Mobb Deep concert though, did we have to wait? I'm not sure.
I think we timed it just right so that we wouldn't have to wait. But the second one we waited in line.
That's what we did. But okay, well, I guess outside of like concerts, like actual acts coming to Baltimore, but like Baltimore events, nah, I've never had to wait in line.
Yeah, and like I feel the same way too. Like, you know, I guess, you know, not being as active musically, and I guess experiencing the world as you know, what we call civilians experience it. You know, people really wait in line and pay money for things. And then, you know, they're not, like, backstage, they're not meeting the artists. Like, it's like it's a whole nother experience. And sometimes it's, like, humbling, like, okay, you know, this is what people do. But, you know, coming from my experience and the type of things that I've done, like, sometimes it's not even waiting in line. It's like, you know, it's a whole separate entrance.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I guess that's the spoiled aspect of it, to where, you know, when you do what you do, you have a certain level of access that the typical person doesn't. I guess, you know, your consumer doesn't, because, you know, we're consumers, but at the same time, you know, we're producers, you know, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
You know, we're actually producing music and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just think it's just pretty cool. Like, when I go back through my projects and songs that I've, you know, made throughout the years, and I think about, like, you know, when I perform them on stage, or, you know, when I let certain people hear them, and, you know, just the effect that it has on them, or, you know, years later somebody might be like, oh yeah, you know, I still listen to that song, or I remember that, or, you know, it can be something as simple as somebody remembering a line, or, you know, a lyric or something like that. It's like, damn, like, you remember that? Like,
yeah.
And I don't know, it's an interesting life. And, you know, it makes me, you know, curious to see where it's going to go, because, I mean, you know, we started from, you know, very humble beginnings, just figuring all this out. Like, I remember me and my mans, we used to rap on the, we used to play the beat real loud and rap on a microphone that was built into the monitor of the computer.
Shit,
And that's how we would make our songs.
I'm doing that right now. But I'm pretty sure the monitor mics have gotten way better over the years, I can tell.
Mhm. And you know, we would just be yelling into that mic, and that's kind of what helped me develop my voice, because you have to cut through all of the static and everything. Like, you know, just to be heard. And then, you know, you make your little songs and you take them outside for people to hear. And, you know, some people, you know, people, especially like when you're younger and everything like that, people are like, oh man, you did that? And it's like, you know, you just keep developing your skill and getting better and better. And it's just like, you know, if anything, I guess it provides somewhat of an escape. It's something to, you know, come back to. And I guess, you know, it's somewhat of a release sometimes, at least for me, just to come home and make a beat and, you know, come up with like something to it. You know, whether I let anybody hear it or not.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, that's why, like, I've always been into, you know, I guess psychedelic music and, you know, the Dr. Octagons of hip hop, because, you know, I guess like that type of dreamy production and, you know, weird lyrics, it kind of like acts as like a form of escape for me. And the same thing with history. You know, coming up, history to me was a form of escapism. You know, you're getting into a book or you're reading about someone's life, and, you know, it's like, I mean, you're reading about someone else's life or a certain thing that happened in a different time period that you don't really have much connection to.
Yeah, it's like yeah, definitely feel what you're saying with that, because it just reminds me of, like, when I first went to Howard, and I'm around like all these different people who look like me, but they're from all these different regions, and they all have their own cultures and music and stuff like that. And it's like all these places I've never been to, and a lot of them I still haven't been to, but I still have a feel of the area kind of a little bit based off, one, the people who I know from there and the stories, and then the music that's connected with it. So like, especially like if you go to like a Howard party, and the DJ might do a set from every major region that's in the area. So like they might start playing some Bay Area music, and people start doing like the Bay Area dances and crumping and all that. And it's like, damn, that's what they doing out there. That's not what we doing here. And it's definitely like, it definitely takes you to another place. While still being, where you are and everything like that.
I mean, yeah, as I've gotten older, I've been able to, I think because of like having that type of mindset, I've been able to pretty much accept every form of music, I think. As long as it's, not saying that I listen to it, but, I say, oh, that's what's up. They doing that. But, everything that's going on in Chicago right now. And I guess trap music and the way it's evolved, and EDM to a certain extent, Yeah,
it's like even though you're not, like even if you're not, like, rocking to the joint, for that 3 minutes or whatever, you can still be taken into a different world. And it's like, and explore it a little bit, and figure out whether you like it or not. But either way, you're still escaping to that place. And I guess it's interesting because as I guess music heads, we kind of go deep into it, and we look for things and seek things out. Versus like, a lot of music is kind of force fed to people, through the major media, like, the radio or whatever, and it's kind of like, watered down and saturated or whatever. But I don't know. It's just like, it's interesting because certain things might be big in certain places, and it's like we know it through the internet, but then your average consumer, wherever you are, is like, huh, what's that?
Oh, yeah.
And, it's almost like, it's kind of weird because sometimes, in your escapism, I guess, sometimes you can go far to where you're not necessarily grounded to what is going on around you at the time sometimes. At least I feel like that sometimes.
I mean, yeah, and that, I guess that can be an issue, but if you think about it, a lot of these artists that that are out, or who we are, or who we do listen to, they're the same way. Lil Wayne pretty much he said it in the Carter documentary. He said he don't listen to no one but himself.
Yeah.
I mean, although I'm sure that was kind of like a loaded sentence, because I mean, he raps on different beats, and he has to know these types of songs that he's rapping on, because he kind of goes along with the cadence, and even does like a rendition of like the hook to that particular song for his mixtape or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But I guess throughout the documentary, though, he's just listening to the things that he's recording, though, for real.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting because I was listening to Joe Budden's podcast the other day.
How is?
You said what?
How is it?
I mean, I've only listened to like part of the first episode, and then this last episode that I listened to. I liked the last episode that I listened to. I actually couldn't get through the first one, but the last one was pretty good, and he was talking about Jay-Z's concert that he did with Tidal, the B-Sides concert, and Jay-Z did his version of Joe Budden's Pump It Up, where he was kind of dissing Joe, and Joe was talking about basically how Jay-Z is, and he was like, you know, these people who are at the top or whatever, they're always looking and watching, and they know what's going on. You know, they're connected, and it's kind of like their job too, especially like Jay-Z. And then, I don't know if you know, but Cannabis just dropped another album, and I was skimming through it a little while earlier today, and in the beginning of one of his songs, he has a skit where Jay-Z was being interviewed by Howard Stern, and then some guy calls up and asks him about cannabis or something like that. Something about, you know, artists getting exposure, like somebody like Cannabis, for instance. And Jay-Z said something about Mos Def, Talib Kweli, and at the end he said something about and Cannabis. And, you know, yeah, I respect him. So it's like, you know, the people who are the ones who are the most saturated, I feel like, are the ones who are most paying attention to the music that isn't saturated.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, like, even in your, you know, the stories that you have, you know, when you've been with, you know, with various producers and artists, and how you would tell me, like, their conversations would be nothing about, you know, there'll be nothing more than just underground rappers.
Yeah. These are some of the most commercial people that you could imagine. Talking about MF Doom. Yeah,
I was about to say, yeah, MF Doom, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just thinking about it, but I think Cannabis is he's a bit different. I mean, he was, you know, Cannabis was like the first, like Papoose in a sense, you know, like everyone had to know about him because he was just a force that was coming to rip people's heads off on every radio show you went to.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, he was that dude that you had to watch out for. And I don't know. I guess it's like people who aren't in the. I'm not even gonna say the hip hop culture. I'll say people who aren't in the rap culture. You know, they may not realize that. You know, when it comes to rap, certain things don't necessarily matter. Like your status on a certain level when it comes to just rapping, it doesn't necessarily, you know, matter like that. You know, like, you know, somebody who's a rapper like a Jay-Z or somebody, he's concerned about what some people are thinking about his bars, you know? Or like, even like, I guess in Eminem, I guess he's like kind of different, but still the same because he's the biggest commercial rapper of all time. But, you know, he's concerned about them bars, and he's working with artists like a Slaughterhouse or Yellow Wolf, people with bars and stuff like that, you know. Diddy has an army of dudes who rap, and he's paying attention to who can really rap out here. And then you see like all of these big name people scouting out at the hip hop battles and stuff like that. So
yeah, and shit. I mean, the whole thing with Diddy and, you know, Jay-Z and Jay Electronica.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, and how Diddy say he felt betrayed.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's this whole thing, and it even became a meme, you know, hurts when breathed. And, you know, you got this whole thing about this rapper named Jay Electronica. And, you know, I can ask everybody in the office I work in right now, have you ever heard of Jay Electronica? And you might have somebody say, oh, yeah, I heard the name. But they can't name 3 Jay Electronica songs.
Yeah, that's true. I remember, that's the thing, like, you can, I clearly remember when I heard Exhibit C. And then I was like, because I'm not sure, I think I may have heard it, like, before you did, but I think at the time I was just, like, in the house and I wasn't doing anything but being on the blogs and listening to shit. And
if I remember correctly, you heard the one that Just Blaze played on the radio that time.
Well, yeah, because the CDQ didn't come out yet.
Yeah, and I came through with the CDQ.
Yeah, because the shit on the radio was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. And then like I think 3 months later, you know, like I was still bumping it, and I was just kind of like, you know, sad that people just didn't know that, you know, like this fucking song exists. And I was walking to like my apartment, you know, on the Eastern Shore when I was still in undergrad, and this dude just pulls up at nighttime in like this Escalade, and he just bumping Exhibit C. And I looked over at him. I just looked at him though, but I guess I gave him a look like, nigga, you know what that is? And then I didn't say anything to him. He was like, yeah, nigga, I know what time it is. Yeah, Exhibit C, nigga. And so, and I said, my man, and I just walked off.
That's like when I'm out somewhere and I see somebody with a Wu-Tang shirt on.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, you know, you give them that nod, and they give you that knowing nod, and it's like, you know, you're a part of the club, like you know what's up.
Yeah. I saw a black dude with a Wu-Tang shirt on some days ago. Yeah, that was pretty special. I've never seen a black person with a Wu-Tang shirt on outside of like a Contra DVD that Wu-Tang had.
I've seen a couple, and then I had the homeboy. He used to wear the, he had the Wu-Tang earrings.
Oh yeah. And then my brother with the famous Wu-Tang medallion.
Yeah.
That he traded in for the 5% sign.
Yeah. Peace to the gods.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to think that people I would love to know if RZA had like anything to do with the making of Wu-Tang jewelry.
I doubt it, 'cause you remember back in the like the early to mid 2000s, and you would go to the mall and they had like Dipset chains and like they had G-Unit chains. And
yeah.
Even I had a microphone, like I had a source mic around my neck.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, the source mic is different though. I mean, but like, you know, these different logos. I mean, I think that if I see someone walking around with a source mic on, I would respect that.
Yeah,
you know, like
I always would feel weird about wearing, clothing that came from another rapper. I guess now it's different. Like I could rock like some Wu-Tang shit, but like back in the day, it was kind of like Rockaware, Sean John. I can't really do it.
I mean, yeah, I feel you, but I mean, I don't know, and that's the thing. I was rocking Wu-Tang shit when Wu-Tang was out of style. They weren't considered what they are now. They were considered they were seen as a washed up group, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's crazy now because like it's it's like it's cool to wear it. I mean, they're selling the shit in Target now.
Yeah, and it's all Wu-Tang does that. There's nothing like usually if you see like an AC/DC shirt or some type of rock band, it's usually connected through Rock Nation some way, or like where's Rock Nation under? Like what's
Live.
My bad, Live Nation. And so I think the AC/DC, I think the Pink Floyd shirt, I have 2 Pink Floyd shirts. And I think one of them is through Live Nation in some type of weird way. But a lot of times you look at like some of these things, the rock ones, they have Live Nation attached to them at the bottom. But then you go to the Wu-Tang shirt, because I did some studying in Target. Yes, I do look at music, different shirts for different bands and rap groups to see what the fuck who owns them. And if you just go at the very bottom, it just says Wu-Tang 2011. Yeah, so that was kind of dope.
Yeah, I mean, they got their brand, and I guess, at least RZA's probably making some money off of that, RZA and Power.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because I think, who was it? Was it Method Man or whoever? And they came out and they were talking about Power and how it was one of the Wu-Tang members. They were complaining about how they don't get their cut from Wu Wear. And this was like years ago because they've always had Wu Wear Europe.
I don't know. I mean, it must be hard to well, I don't know. I'm not a financial guru or anything like that, but it seems to me like, delegating the payments and everything, and then, how everything is kind of based off of the status of the group and, each individual group member and, how much they contributed to that brand. I wonder how they break that shit down.
Well, yeah, that's true. Like, 'cause if you remember when 50 Cent on that Hot 97 interview, that's a classic interview.
Yeah, it was.
And he finally, after all these years, explained fully the whole thing about G-Unit and how he said that he came to the meeting and he was the only person that had G-Unit stuff on, and they were getting paid to wear it. So yeah, that was kind of dope. But because like the thing is, I think if you go into the Wu-Tang manual, or it was something that I read, and it talk about the way Wu-Tang is like broken down, and so pretty much everyone is supposed to get a cut who is a part of Wu-Tang from everything that Wu-Tang does. Because I think that's always been like the holdouts for like the past two albums, like with the 8 Diagrams and this other one, that if one person like really isn't into it, then it's gonna be an issue when it comes to like money and like assigning stuff and everything like that.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing, because I remember it being an issue. I remember Ghostface said something about how he was mad because Capadonna wasn't made an official Wu-Tang member, and how that kind of fucks up his money.
Well, if that fucks up Ghostface's money or Capadonna's money?
Capadonna's money.
Well,
kind of doing him dirty, by doing that.
See, all right. Well, me and you, we've had many conversations before this podcast about Capadonna, and when he was made a Wu-Tang member, and okay, 36 Chambers he wasn't on Wu-Tang Forever, but he has been a mainstay on Raekwon's.
No, he was on Wu-Tang Forever.
Oh, that's right. He was on Triumph.
Yeah, the big joint.
yeah, the big joint, and which was really random. But here's the thing about Capadonna. If it wasn't for him being a mainstay on Raekwon and Ghostface's albums, I don't think he would have been a member, because you can look at Street Life. Street Life had about 2 or 3 features on Wu-Tang Forever, and you don't hear about him at all.
Yeah, he was pretty much just on Method Man albums besides that.
Yeah, as we know, Method Man doesn't come out with a lot of albums, but interestingly enough, did you hear the new Method Man song?
You know what's crazy is I just burned it to a CD to ride to the store. And I burned it with a bunch of other new songs, and I just been playing that new J-Rock shit back to back. But I did listen to it like briefly, and I wasn't too happy with it.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but it was better than that to Cal Zero. I'm to the point now that whatever he comes out with, I just kind of compare it to Cal Zero and call it a day.
But that other album that he had, Method Man 420 or whatever, or 421 the day after, that album was pretty good.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but I think I listened to like half the album, and it was okay. But once again, it goes to show that when RZA is involved in a project, it comes together a certain type of way.
Yeah, that is true.
Now someone can argue that when it came to Ghostface's the first joint came out with Adrian Young, 7 Ways to Die, whatever it's called. RZA was executive producer, and actually, I guess if you think about it, everything flowed together, but Ghostface's lyrics just weren't there.
Everybody loved it except me and you.
I mean, well, yeah, it did get good reviews, but sometimes I think a lot of times when it comes to like albums and how they're perceived, a lot of it has to do with how many more albums you come out with after that, because they only have this one album to like really base their criticism on, then they'll just keep focusing on that one album. But then let's say if you have 2 more albums you come out with, then I think like sometimes, you know, like the criticism or I guess critical acclaim over time, it'll kind of just like level out, and then it'll just be like spread throughout the 3 albums that one artist comes out with within like a 3-year span or something like that.
Yeah, especially if they're thematically connected in some type of way.
Yeah, and I think it seems like Ghostface is trying to do that, but if that's the case, he kind of lost me on the second one, because apparently on 7 Ways to Die, he's a ghost, but he doesn't seem like a ghost on the second one, unless, you know, maybe he went back in the time.
I mean, like, not thematically in terms of that, but thematically in terms of, you know, he's doing these albums with these bands, and, you know, the albums are all kinds of, like basically a similar type of albums that he's doing, like, back to back to back.
Yeah. And I must say, I mean, I think outside of what Elza and maybe a handful, he may be like one of like the earlier, I guess outside of the Roots. I mean, I guess the Roots is a whole different story though, but I guess outside of like a rapper who really depended on samples, he's probably one of the earlier ones to really hop on using a band for albums like this.
Yeah. I was going to say Jay-Z, but that's pretty much for performances.
Yeah. I mean, like an album all the way through, performance all the way through.
Yeah. I always, you remember Gym Class Heroes?
Yeah.
Like, especially that first album that was kind of underground. They always reminded me of, like, a more pop version of the Roots. Because, like, what's his name? Travis, he used to be rapping on them joints.
You know, the sad thing is I want to call him Travis Porter, but I know it's not his name.
No, his name is Travis McCoy.
Yeah, I remember it came out. I think that whole thing had like the same thing that happened with, I guess, kind of like Linkin Park, but they've remained successful, I guess, in a way. Because I think that Travis McCoy, I don't think his album was really successful, but when what's the guy from Linkin Park? He stepped out and he did his rap album.
Oh, Mike Shinoda.
Yeah, and it was pretty. I think it went gold. I mean, but that's pretty good for him, I guess.
I mean, that album was pretty good. And he had the mixtape with Green Lantern. That was pretty good too. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and Linkin Park, and yeah, he had a joint Black Thought on there. And Linkin Park, they did those remix albums. I know they did the Reanimation where they redid their first album with pretty much like underground type rappers. Like I remember Pharoah Monch was on one of them joints. And they kind of like remixed each song and put a rap in. Charlie Tuna from what's them guys' names? Jurassic 5 was on there. So I mean. And then they did do that song Executioners. So, you know, Linkin Park has always been kind of hip-hoppy. You know, I guess, you know, they were the end of that rap rock 90s type of thing going on with like Limp Bizkit and all that, but I guess they were more, I guess they were seen as having more artistic integrity.
I mean, it's interesting. Oh, well, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
It's interesting because, like in the 90s, you had like a rap rock thing going on with Limp Bizkit, and they had like, you know, Method Man in that video years back, and then you know, I guess System of a Down, of course. I mean, was it Rage Against the Machine? And some other ones, and then that dies down, and then you have this.
Don't forget Korn with Ice Cube.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Korn and Ice Cube.
When Ice said the famous line, or at least famous to me, where he said, "Corn stands for keep on running, niggas."
Is that the one with the music video with the bullet that's like flying all throughout the video?
I think so.
Okay. And then, you know, then like in the late 90s, 99, you get this turn when you just have these boy bands. So NSYNC, 98 Degrees, and the Backstreet Boys, and Aaron Carter and shit.
Oh, man.
And then that was like a really short period of time, and then you get Linkin Park. But then it was still based on the same formula as the boy groups though. But they kind of,
well, you know, the same person who put together NSYNC put together Linkin Park.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then so they took that same formula, but they put it kind of back into, I guess, like a real band type of perspective with Linkin Park. Then you have, you know, Flowbots, who were kind of hip hoppy to me at least, in a way. Even you know, in the other band you just said, Gym Class Heroes, and even I think Good Charlotte to a certain extent, because Good Charlotte, they had like this remix album. You remember that album, right?
Kinda. I can't think of a Good Charlotte song right now, and they're the ones from Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. I can't think of anything.
I really can't either. I think didn't they do Gym Class Heroes did the girlfriend song, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, I can't think of one either. But
you know, Good Charlotte, they have a new song with Waka Flocka.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna listen to it, but then I didn't feel like it.
Yeah, me neither.
But I guess you are right about, because I think we talked about Waka Flocka and how he's really branched out into EDM and he's chilling.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his thing. Like, he has an EDM thing going on. Then every once in a while he'll drop his hood mixtape, and then he did that one mixtape called Waka Flocka Can't Rap or something like that, where he's rapping over like 90s beats and actually rapping. Cause Waka Flocka, can we consider him kind of a New York rapper?
I would say no. Because if you consider him a New York rapper, you had to consider A$AP Rocky a Southern rapper, which I don't consider him to be one.
Well, I think it's different because, you heard Waka Flocka's mother talk, right?
Yes.
She's straight New York. So it's kind of like, even though he grew up mostly, in Atlanta and everything like that, his mother is straight New York, and I'm sure he went back and forth to Queens a little bit. And, whenever he's rapping with, he does shout out Queens and stuff sometimes. It's kind of like how Clips are kind of like New York rappers. And, Waka Flocka has like when he wants to, he can actually rap. And I guess that's being real stereotypical about Southern rappers, so I apologize to anybody who's listening, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, personally, I don't really see what you see in Waka Flocka when it comes to his lyrics. Personally, lyrically, I don't really like him, but he just has like a lot of energy. Like, he reminds me of Lil Jon to a certain extent, but I will admit that he doesn't have like a straight Southern type of energy. Like, I think like the way he kind of like, approaches certain beats is kind of New York. Now, if someone asks me to explain that, I won't be able to explain it to you, but it's just like a certain type of feeling. Like, there's what's that one song he had, this is like after, Hard in the Paint, and it was like another song, and he's like, watch my power spread, watch my power spread.
Yeah. You must have heard that song from me, because I used to play the mess out that song.
I also had people in Eastern Shore who played it a lot too.
Yeah.
But the thing was though, like, it was something about that song, because like even like something so simple as saying "Watch my power spread," it was a really New York thing to say. To me.
That's some blood shit.
Okay.
That whole watch my power spread, I think that's some type of like blood terminology. I don't know if it's like New York blood terminology or something like that, but I think that's like some gangology shit. But it is like that's some shit that you don't hear people saying in the South.
I mean, yeah, if you're in the South, they would say something totally different compared to like, they would say something, I don't know, they would, I mean, if they're saying like money, like generalizing it, they would, I think a Southern rapper, they would maybe say money or watch my trap or, something like that, watch my trap spread, something like that.
Yeah.
But not exactly, but I'm not saying that they just mean that. I'm just trying to say that for the listeners, I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say that they will use another word for power.
Yeah, I mean,
because I think
too. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, because I think New York rappers, they have a certain cockiness, so they'll just come out and say power or they're the best, some shit like that, compared to a Southern rapper.
Yeah. And you gotta think too, like Waka was in a group with 2 New York rappers.
What's
the murder team that we were talking about?
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, with Rod Diggs and Uncle Murder.
Oh, do they still do anything together or no?
Well, remember Rod Diggs? We were talking about him because they used his lyrics to. He's the guy. He got like 12 life sentences plus like 105 years. So no, no, they don't do anything together.
Hey, well, man, technology. Hey, look, man, Max B just came out with a freestyle last week, so it could be done.
Matter of fact, for the website, I was going to do a post on the best jail freestyles.
That's a good idea. I mean, but how many are there, though?
I mean, there's a couple from Gucci. You got Max B. You got the one from Prodigy you were talking about. And I guess, you got to dig deep, but there must be some more. Tony Yayo. Oh, that one from Tony Yayo. Excuse me.
That was on one of those Invasion mixtapes, right?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember it.
I think that might have. Oh, was that the first one?
When was the first Shady Invasion? That was a long time ago.
Man, that was a long time ago.
I was in middle school.
Yeah, I was in high school, man. Shady Invasion mixtape. Let's see. Because at one point I made it my mission to try to get all of the Green Lantern mixtapes, but...
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It's so hard to do. According to Wikipedia, the first invasion was 2002, and the second one was 2003.
God damn. Man, you know what though? You could probably get all of his stuff now though. Green Lantern's mixtapes.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just looking through these joints like, damn, like you remember Alive on Arrival?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Because last time I checked, it was like some years ago. But Alive on Arrival 3, it was the third one. What was the first one?
I thought he just had one, and then he had the beats to it that he made.
Okay, yeah, well, maybe that's what I'm thinking about. But yeah, man, like, last time I checked, that was on Dat Piff like a long time ago, but I didn't download it though. Yeah,
because the only thing about Dat Piff is sometimes, they like if there's a copyright issues, like some of the songs won't be on there. And that shit pisses me the fuck off.
Well, I will say that I'm like 99% sure that I listened to the Purple Haze mixtape, and I think it was pretty accurate. I think that was the exact mixtape I listened to.
That's what's
but I'm not entirely sure though. I was never entirely sure if that was an official mixtape, but it seems like it was though.
I'm just looking. I'm looking through the track list of Alive on Arrival right now. Goodness gracious, like they had that joint, that shotgun joint with Fat Joe, and then they had that joint, the License to Kill remix with Pat Poose and Mobb Deep.
Yeah, that was you know what though, but like that remix, it was it was cool, but it still wasn't as good as the first one though.
I don't know. They kind of even to me. Like I wish there was some way to mix the two together some type of way. Like I used to always play them back to back.
Well, you know what? I was gonna say maybe there's a way to mix it, but from what I can recall from like the beat is kind of like an awkward beat though.
Oh man, damn yo. Like, this was 2002, and, you know, we were just talking about, like, chinks and stack bundles and all that.
Yeah.
And now I just remember this song, number 14. It was a song called New York with Jay Mills, Stack Bundles, Corey Guns, and Mano. And it's damn, like, yo, what happened to all these people? Like, it's crazy that Mano's the most successful one out of that whole list right now.
But it's funny though because you had to tell me like a while ago that Mano was a successful rapper. Well, as far as commercially, because I had no idea he had a platinum single or platinum singles. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Shouts out to Mano.
It was big.
Well, maybe not in Baltimore because you know like in Eastern Shore, no one was playing something. No one will play something like that. But
yeah. I mean, I hated the song personally, but everybody had those high hater shirts on, and they had his hand on it, the hand of God that he used to smack niggas with.
You know what? Like based on like that song, like and who it featured. Going back to 2 episodes ago, you were talking about the New York. You were trying to like pinpoint where it really started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that was an example of the New York because these people they're still around. And the Hand of God, I wonder if he was influenced by Jim Jones, the Koofy Smacker.
This was before. Actually, I'm not sure because you know. Jim Jones, I'm not going to say that because I just watched this interview with Jim Jones was talking about like all these different crazy ass fights he was in. But Mano, didn't he, I think he knocked out Lil C's. I think he punched Tragedy Gaddafi. And it was like somebody else who he slapped. Maybe like Young Berg or somebody like that.
Oh, wait, Mano, he punched Tragedy Gaddafi?
Yeah, I think he's known for that.
How did he do that?
Let me see. Mano Tragedy Beef. It's one of the first things that pops up on Google. Mano discusses his growth in knocking out tragedy. That was in 2013. And then there's an interview with Bossip with Tragedy Gaddafi discussing Mano. And then Global Grind has a brief history of Mano beating up rappers and bystanders. Let's see this right here. Let's see what he has right here. Oh, that's right. He was, I think he was going to punch Trinidad James.
For what?
Remember when Trinidad, he said something about New York at a show in New York, and that kind of ended him in terms of, after that he got dropped from Def Jam.
You know what though? I was never like. This is the thing, like people, they would like, like there's been those certain rappers that people had like really been getting on for like destroying the culture. Like Iggy Azalea and like other people like Soulja Boy when he first came out.
Yeah. And
Trinidad James, he was kind of one of those people, but I was never mad at him. Like after I listened to his album, I wasn't mad at it at all.
The first one.
He came out with another one.
He came out like 2 more. Like after he got dropped, he started dropping all this music, and apparently he has this one that people are saying is one of the best projects of the year. I think it's called 10-Piece Mile.
Okay.
And
well, no.
apparently it's real good.
Oh no, I had no idea, but no, I listened to his first album because, of course, you know, my mother had to have it, and it was a good album. I mean, it had like a mixture of, you know, trap-ish EDM type of music, but it was still kind of spaced out, and his songs were coherent. You could hear what he's saying, and I mean, if you accept it for what it is, then you just know that it's not going to be anything that, you know, anything lyrical.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it's just the presentation of that first song that kind of did it for him. You know, got him like, you know, that first song was like his gift and his curse, because now he's just, I mean, like even now they bring it up with that nigga.
I mean, but that's the, I don't know. I mean, but there have been so many other, like, this is what I don't understand about why people get on Iggy Azalea so much. There have been so many other songs. Like, I think All Go Everything is way, 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 way better than the Soulja Boy song.
Yeah.
Because that shit was just terrible. Like, it was nothing but
Soulja Boy song?
The first one he's known for.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, the first Soulja Boy song, I don't know. Like, I hate it, or you know, at the time I hated it, but it's kind of weird because sometimes a song isn't just a song, you know? Like,
yeah, I understand,
what would that song be without the dance?
I mean, that's very true, but doesn't All Gold Everything have a dance to it too?
Nah.
But it doesn't have a dance, but it has sayings to it though. Yeah. And Soulja Boy's song, it didn't really. I mean, Superman and Ho, I guess that was the same for that song. But I think Trinidad song had at least like two sayings for it.
Nigga, pop the molly, I'm sweating.
Woo.
And gold all on my watch.
I mean, well, I kind of respected the song, and because the album was something totally different, but it was still within the same realm in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was cool. I don't know. It's like, I guess the difference with Iggy is like, I think people don't like when you don't sound on the song how you sound in real life, especially when you don't look like you're of the culture.
I mean, so I'm assuming she doesn't sound black. Outside of her songs.
She sounds Australian. It's not that she doesn't sound black, she sounds Australian.
I mean, okay, so all right, so for example, why didn't people get on Snoop Dogg for turning Rastafarian when he did? Why didn't people get on Eddie Murphy for doing that surprisingly good reggae song?
They did.
They did?
Yeah, but the thing is, and I think this goes to what we were talking about off air about certain shit. Like, when you look at Trinidad James, and, you know, Trinidad James is different than Iggy because, you know, Iggy, you can chart her grind and her progress. But Trinidad James is a nigga who just learned how to rap. And put some shit together, and it happened to pop off. But
that's how a lot of these things are nowadays.
Like, yeah, but like Snoop Dogg made doggy style.
Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy is Eddie Murphy. So, you know, these are two icons, and it's like no matter what they do, no matter what transsexual you find them with in the back of a cab, you know, that's still Eddie Murphy. That's what, you know. Like, let somebody, let me think of somebody. let Bobby Shmurda, all of a sudden, when he comes out of jail, if he ever comes out of jail, when he comes out of jail, let Bobby Shmurda's color start changing like Michael Jackson. Like, you don't have a resume for that shit.
That's very true.
Like, and that's the thing, like you know, you gotta build up clout and respect. I mean, Snoop Dogg has done so many, you know, he's done, you know, so many questionable things, or not even questionable, but just things that other people just can't do because he's Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg took a lot of heat for what he did. You remember, who was it? Was it the Wailers? Was it Bunny Wailer who came at Snoop? And then Sizzler did a diss song against Snoop. Yeah.
But then didn't he end up making up with Bunny Wailer at the same time, like after like Bunny Wailer came out against him?
I believe he did. But
and it's probably because he's Snoop Dogg.
But where is Snoop Lion at now? You know, Snoop Lion has a Twitter account as well as Snoop Dogg.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was curious the other day and I looked it up.
You know what's funny though? Like, I had a dream that I met Diplo the other day. I mean, he seemed like a nice person, but yeah, it's kind of random. That Eddie Murphy song though, like, and maybe it's because like I went into listening to the song assuming that it was going to be really bad, but honestly though, Eddie Murphy, I think he's had like 3 albums. Mm-hmm. I listened to the first one, had Party All the Time on it, and I think the second one, if there is a second one. And I know I like the first one, but I remember listening to some other stuff that he's done over the years, and I liked. His first album, for real, it's a pretty. I mean, I guess you gotta accept it for what it is, though. It came out like 1984, I think, or 85, and it's an 80s album. It sounds like, you know, Prince with the Minneapolis sound and everything like that, and he can sing, and he sounds good over top of these types of beats. And that reggae song was good. I mean, even like, you know, his voice, his delivery.
He did a reggae song back in the day too, though, didn't he?
Oh, I mean, I didn't know you did one.
I think he did.
Oh, so go
ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, so like, do you think Jamie Foxx would be good over a reggae cut?
Oh man, see, I was just thinking about comparing Eddie Murphy and Jamie Foxx because of that. Yo, Jamie Foxx, I said it before, I think he's one of the most talented people in our lifetime.
Yeah, he is.
So, I think he could do it. I think you get him and Rihanna together, you know, Rihanna show him the way, and they'll make a worldwide international hit.
Maybe. I don't know about Rihanna. I don't know about Rihanna so much because the thing about Rihanna is that I'm not entirely sure if she could really sell herself as a reggae artist, because the thing is, the people who listen to her now, they probably don't even know that first album exists.
But I mean, like, you know, when you talk to people from the islands or whatever, sometimes they be like, yeah, you know, Rihanna's cool, but I really like when she does that island shit. And so, you know, maybe not, I don't know, I guess, you know, on a mainstream level, I don't know, I mean, I think she could sell it on the mainstream level, because if you notice, the times when she does it, she doesn't just come out there like, yo, this is some island shit. Like, it just comes out like a regular song. Like, what was that song, Man Down, I think it was, that she did, which was like basically like a reggae type of record?
I think so, but it was still kind of Bob Marley-ish.
Yeah, but you know, it wasn't sold as that. It was just sold as like a regular record, and it just had a reggae type of feel to it. And I think as long as you don't play up what it really is, the people who know what it really is are gonna gravitate towards it. Like, you know Nico and Vinz?
I've heard the name.
What's the song that they do? They do this song, Nico and Vinz. They do this song that is straight, and it's crazy because they are from Norway, but they got this record, that big song that they did, Am I Wrong? Remember the song?
Like, vaguely.
That's a like it's like a big pop record, but that song is like straight Haitian music. Like it's straight. What's the name of it? Is it Zouk? I'm trying to think of the name of the type of music that it is, because Wyclef has a song. I don't know if I ever sent you that song, Bag Enough.
No, I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah,
was that on his last mixtape?
I don't think it is. I think it's just a random song he did. I think it's called Compa music, Kompa, and it's like this African Haitian type of stuff that's going on. And like when you listen to that song, if it wasn't a #1 hit, it would just be a straight island record or a straight like African. You know how we were talking about. I guess, you know, it kind of goes into our conversation about the African and Caribbean music popping off. You know, you have to do it in a way to where people don't know what it is.
I mean, I think when it comes to island music, black music, period, the thing about it, the main thing is the bass. And, you know, here, bass just isn't something that people are really into like that. I mean, it's starting to get that way because of EDM, but at the same time, it still isn't as relevant as it probably needs to be in order for these types of songs to cross over.
You got that song Meghan Trainor.
Well, I must admit that. Oh, about that bass. I mean, see, but you know, even like, all right, whenever I listen to Top 40 Radio, usually it's with you. There's been bass in these songs, but the bass still. All right, look, go to 92Q. You hear nothing but bass. You hear bass more than you hear vocals, and then go to like a Top 40 station. You'll hear more vocals than bass.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way for me to put it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can see that.
And I have this compilation of like Dennis Brown's greatest hits or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. And you know his song Money in My Pocket is probably his biggest song. I have the original version, which is like a straight kind of acoustic reggae song, and then I have like, you know, the one that everyone knows that is pretty much a song, but like the original version is more acoustic, but the bass is still more like in your face compared to like the other one. Because like for real, like the bass and Money in My Pocket, if you compare it to like, I guess like your typical reggae artist in Jamaica who never really made it big like in the UK or something like that, the bass is still kind of lower compared to, you know, like a Leroy Smart or someone like that, to me at least. And then you go into the 1972 version of that song. It's just nothing but guitar and bass, and it's kind of grimy, and you really can't hear his voice as well as you can on the remade track.
Yeah, I mean, how much of that do you think is mixing, and how much do you think? Because like, you know, when you put something on Top 40 Radio, it has to have that. I mean, I guess there's a Top 40 sound, I guess you would say. And like,
I was thinking about that too.
You have to separate, you know, the lyrics from the vocals, because people want to sing along to a record, and that's the main thing, is to make something that people can sing along to. And
I mean, well, that's true. I would say that maybe and maybe in Dennis Brown's case, maybe it was the mixing, because like the original version, it doesn't sound all that well. But remember the Lee Scratch Perry documentary from the 70s, and it just goes to his process, and you know they go into like how reggae is mixed anyway, or at least how it was at first.
Yeah. You
only focus on the drums and the bass, and not the vocals. And then, I mean, it makes sense too, because even when you have like those weird, I guess like that the guitar slap on some type of dub song, whatever like that, and how it like bounces and echoes back and forth all throughout the track, and it's like really loud and overpowers the vocals.
I guess it's that raw thing, which you have to be into the shit to like that shit, I guess.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, if the thing about reggae is that the bass is really melodic compared to, the bass is really it's fast moving. It has like the boom, 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 compared to, I guess, Top 40 radio, when it's like boom, 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 and you really can't. It's not catchy compared to the vocals.
Yeah, I mean, like in a reggae record, the bass is really it's really a focal point of it, and not an accent.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like sometimes people just put the bass in the song so that it has a full frequency spectrum, but you're not about to, like, some of these reggae records, it could be like a bass solo, kinda, where the bassist is actually an integral part to the record and all of that, to where, a lot of times in the reggae record, the melody is the bass, and then the actual instruments are like an accent to the bass.
Even the drums to a certain point, and then you just have this man or woman just yelling sometimes. But when I went to like this last Baltimore hip hop thing that I went to, and it was really people within within younger people, and listening to like the things that they were listening to, and maybe this was like the sound system. It had to be the sound system. We're talking about the paparazzi / Sonar, and they've always had a shitty sound system, but even like in certain other places where with better sound systems. When you put on, I guess for right now, your typical song from 92Q, your Young Thug song, the bass just overpowers everything. You can't hear the 808s, you can't hear the snares, you can't hear what he's saying. It's just the bass, and the bass it doesn't even do anything. It just goes boom, boom, boom. That's all it does, and people dance to that shit.
Yeah, I guess that's why I appreciate certain producers like Hit Boy.
Yeah.
You really listen to his shit that's not a big hit, like a Niggas in Paris or something like that, but like when you listen to some of that shit that's on the album with all the niggas that he signed and nobody listens to, like, some of that shit that nobody listens to that he does is really out of this world. The shit that he does with the bass. I'm like, damn, like, this shit has bass like the songs on the radio, and it's very catchy and everything like that. Why don't they play this? And I guess it's not simple enough.
And I've heard about that album. I haven't listened to it though, but even like what he did for MIA's album.
Oh yeah. It's like you can see, like when you listen to some of the shit that he does for certain people, you can see how he dumbs himself down for the majors or whatever. And I guess it's maybe it has something to do with why he didn't renew his contract with Good Music or whatever. But I don't know. It's interesting to think about how race is involved in it. I guess black people love that bass. But I guess speaking about race and how race matters, Race Matters is a book that I recently downloaded on Audible.
Mhm.
and it's by the black scholar Cornel West. And on Audible, you actually have the actual author, Cornel West. He's reading his book, so you don't even have to read it. You can just be driving and you can just listen to this book. And if you go to audiblepodcast.com I'm sorry, not Audible Podcast, audibletrial.com/channel10, you can get your free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial of the Audible service, which is great. So y'all really need to go to audibletrial.com/channel10 and get your learn on so you can be involved in conversations such as these with myself and great musician scholars such as Singard. Step your game up.
What up?
But yeah, going back to bass and the music, it's interesting. I don't know if you heard this new Meek Mill record. It's called Check.
No, I saw it as I was surfing the blogs, and I skipped over it.
I really like it, but it's the same thing that you're talking about, where it's just the bass is going boom, 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 boom the whole time. Like, the melody doesn't really change with it too much. It's the focal point of the song, but it doesn't really do anything musically, and it kind of reminds me of the last song they did, Monster. Which I like as well, but it's just real simple. But I guess it's like when it comes to music, people don't want to have to think about it too much. They don't want to have to use their brain that much. If you're not really into it. So anything that's a little bit too complicated, or you add that little extra thing in it that, somebody might think is interesting, or it makes you think about why he did it, or, whatever. Any little extra thing is going to turn somebody off.
That's true. And it was, being, that was my first time, I think, being in that type of scene where you had, I guess 20, really young 20-somethings and teenagers in this one spot, and listening to what they think is hot right now at that point, and everything. It was the same bass. Just the same thing, the boom, and it was amazing to me because they would wait for the bass to drop until they started dancing to it. Mind you, the song has been going on for 45 minutes, 45 seconds. And Boosie, he already said his catchphrase. And they'll say it, but they won't, but then they had to wait for that bass to drop. They got to wait for that 808 snare to, so they can start dancing to it.
You know what, and it's a conversation I've had a lot. Maybe it's I think your brother used to talk about it all the time, like how every song has that 808 snare that goes do, and it's that cue that automatically lets you know that something is about to happen. And it's like if you really listen to it, you know that this shit is happening every time. But it's like every time it happens, I feel like niggas act surprised.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like in a horror movie. Like, you know when some shit is about to happen, but you're still scared when that shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, the cues are all set up. It's all that, the shit is a setup. It's nothing that's really out of the blue that's surprising. But I guess that's what makes it, accessible to people. I think about, Kendrick Lamar's King Kunta, and in the middle of the song you have this this random ass gunshot, and then the song breaks, and then it drops back into some other shit. But it happens at like an off point where you're not necessarily expecting it, and it's an actual surprise at a certain point. Like, I mean, there's cues to let you know. It's not like completely off beat, but there's no warning to it. It just goes boom, and then well, not quite boom, but and I don't know. I guess that's what makes the difference between somebody. I don't know. I guess there's a formula, and then there's a way to go against the formula, and then there's a way to try to mix the two ways of doing shit together.
I mean, well, I think that we talked in a past episode about I guess kind of going against the formula. I guess melding that formula together. Although it was kind of a different time, with 50 Cent. And in the club, and what G-Unit has what they've done for during that run. But I think going back into these kind of big sounding records, and if something just kind of sounds big, people will just kind of latch onto it in a way, as long as it's catchy enough. You can look at Hard in the Paint, and I mean there's bass there, but it's just like the synths. It's just a big sounding record. And I think even going to Pharoah Monch and his Simon Says, it's, although of course, I'm sure it was probably a top 40 record, but I think the main thing was just the way it sounded. Everything about it sounded big, and I was thinking about what Pharoah Monch was talking about, I think on the Combat Jack show, and then even some on the Cypher. And I never thought about it, but how it was recorded analog, so it was recorded on an ADAT tape. And I wonder if, that's the way it was recorded has something to do with the richness of the horns.
I mean, even though that song, it's interesting because songs from that era that might not have a lot of bass in them, they still bang. Cause, I guess that Pharoah Monch song is one, and another one is Whoa from Black Rob.
That's
true. They had them kind of horn type beats, and it didn't really have a bass line, but for some reason when that shit hits, you feel that shit in your chest. So, maybe it does have something to do with that. All those saturated frequencies, mixing together and everything like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. Why didn't... was that a sample, Black Rob's Whoa? I
think so.
Okay, it had to be because, that wasn't... that song wasn't the sound of the day either.
No, that song is just an anomaly still. To me.
That came out, that was before 50 Cent, right?
I guess kind of around the same time. Before 50 Cent's big rise, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out if we could pinpoint the earliest type of I guess kind of general hip hop song in a way.
I would have to say Rough Riders Anthem. Because Swiss Beats took that South shit that they had going on at the time, that with the even the type of shit that's going on now with the chants in the background. That's that shit that them real underground Atlanta niggas were doing, like Baby D and all of them. And he really took that and then added it to some New York type shit. But then when you really listen to it, even on that Triton keyboard type of sound, it has some bass to it. When you hear it knocking the system, that joint goes boom. Even though the bass is off key and doesn't sound really right when you really think about it.
Well, you remember like on the last one Epstein, and they kind of got deeper into that, into what Cypress Sam was talking about when it came to Swiss Beats and his beats.
Yeah, man, them shits were terrible.
Yeah, and then like because I didn't exactly know that like some of like the things that he did, they were simply nothing more than the keyboard's presets things.
Yeah, there was a rumor that he got sued for that shit, or maybe they tried to sue him.
Well, Cypher said something about that he did get sued or something like that, but he had like supposedly Swiss Beats, he had someone else they kind of changed the sound up so he wouldn't get sued for it. And I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we were talking off air about using her beat software to make beats and stuff like that. And we see someone as successful as Swiss Beats is at this point in his career, and he started off doing these same type of things that people look down upon when it comes to people using, that's Seratos and Fruity Loops and Reason and so on and so forth.
Yeah, another person I always think about is Ninth Wonder, too. Because, he was known for using Fruity Loops, but I guess at that time, people weren't used to hearing it like that. Even though I was doing that shit, but
right.
It's like, dang, that's Fruity Loops. That's not an MPC or something like that. And eventually, I guess he moved on to other things. But I guess it's that I don't know. It's the technology and everything with the beat making software. I always say it's like a gift and a curse because with the access, you have the people who aren't really into music who can just kind of pick it up and just kind of do it and pop off in an instant, and don't really have to grind or go through any dues or anything like that to get on. And but then at the same time, we use it and we. Like an old head, I'd be like, back in the day, I had to save up for my MPC and all that, but, we went through a struggle trying to actually get the software. Number one, getting a computer that the software could run on. Number two, getting it with no money and cracking it and trying to get that shit to work. Like, we talked a lot about, the things that we have done to, get shit popping and get shit to work with the little bit that we had. But I think as things become easier and easier, a lot of people don't, and cheaper and cheaper for people that go the legal route for getting the software, which of course we're doing now. I think that you get people who haven't necessarily studied the music, I guess done the knowledge to it. They just hear something and emulate it and are able to pop off of it. And, I'm happy for anybody that has any type of success, but at the same time, it's like, when you look at, I guess, I guess you're going to make the same type of artists who aren't going to be able to, come out and do some shit like Snoop Dogg, just do a reggae album or something like that. Like, these people aren't the same type of people. And I guess it's a new type of era, but, it's not the same type of work that you put in to necessarily gain that type of respect. For a lot of people, I'm not going to say everybody. Because, if you get into Fruity Loops or Reason or whatever it is that you use and you freak it like a master, that's your instrument.
I mean, yes, and that's what I'm saying, because, like certain people who I've dealt with and they kind of look down on Fruity Loops, these same people who are talking about it, if you show it to them, they don't know how to use it. And they'll say it looks pretty complicated. I remember when I first saw Fruity Loops, and it was really complicated to me. I mean, still certain parts are, I'm learning something new on it every now and again as I go, and I'm still on a rather older version of it, or just how to go about doing certain things in my way.
Yeah, I mean, and the crazy thing is, it offers like limitless, possibilities, and at the same time, with those possibilities, there's a certain type of skill that comes with that can be seen as the same type of skill that comes, with playing an instrument. So,
I mean, yeah, but I think that's the thing about these types of beats, like, because if you're like really deep into it, there are certain things that you learn from it that you can kind of apply to, at least, well, maybe in Free Loop's case, a keyboard. Because, when you're dealing with the piano roll on Free Loops, when you see an actual keyboard, you're probably thinking about the keyboard on Free Loops, and you may kind of know your way around a keyboard, or like know how to do certain things without really being, trained in doing it,
Yeah, because you get used to, what a chord looks like and what it's supposed to sound like and these types of things. And even if you're not technically trained in music, you still have that background in it.
I mean, yeah. And, like sometimes, we look at Hit Boy, he uses Free Loops. And look at, Lex Luger, who has pretty much, he revamped what trap music was, or is rather, off of Fruity Loops. And the guy who made like the cloud music, I can't think of his name right now.
You're talking about the dude from A$AP Rocky's first joint?
Yeah. Is it called cloud music?
I don't really know what you call it. I just came across one of his beat tapes earlier too. You talking about
Clams Casino.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, he uses Reason. But then even like we can go into like EDM where for some reason people in EDM they don't really get picked on like how rappers do. Go to Girl Talk. He does his albums on Cool Edit Pro. Not even Adobe Audition. And that's something that till this day just amazes me like how he can put all these little snippets of something. Cause I don't think I'm pretty sure I can't do it. The way he reconstructs songs is amazing.
And it makes you want to look at his sessions and see how he did it.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And I wonder how he would be about that.
That's an interesting thing. I still gotta listen to his project with Freeway.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I listened to his second project, the second was the third album, whatever it was, and I just remember when, around the time, because I was still pretty early in the game when I decided to download it, although I knew who he was, but I just never really listened to his stuff, but, it was kind of like J. Cole when Friday Night Lights came out. His website got shut down. It was shut down. There was too many people coming to it.
Damn.
And he tours all over the world doing this type of stuff. I mean, maybe he uses Ableton. Actually, I don't know what he does for live performances, but he does like some crazy shit, like just physically. I think he performs naked or something. I think I heard, but at the same time, this is all off of Cool Edit Pro.
So I guess the moral of the story is you can do it too.
Yeah, that's what Shia LaBeouf says. LaBeouf.
Yeah, yep. Keep hope alive.
Yeah.
I guess we can end it right there. Keep hope alive. You can do it too. No matter what you do, keep on keeping on, and all of that good type of stuff. I don't know, whatever your creative outlet is, you have all these examples. We have the technology, and all you got to do is just do it.
Yeah. Although it can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, and, find your escape. You're not stuck wherever you're at. You know, you can pick up a book. You can go to audibletrial.com/channel 10 and go to another world. You can get free loops. You can listen to some music. You can make some music to get you out of your situation mentally and physically.
All right.
Channel10podcast.com. Log on. I didn't even say go to Amazon. Links through our website and support. But yeah, do that. And we out.
Peace.
Peace.
Feeling is here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. What up, son? You gotta just do it, yo.
CNN.
Yo, what up, man? It's a different channel, son. What up, on, man. What up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
What up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. What up, yo? CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cats more beef than Scarface. CNN.